Hi, in this video I want to go over how we would translate these tenses in Greek into English. And so we talked about roughly what they are, but I just want to go over translations. So first off, we'll start with the present. I've got this color-coded, so the red present, this is the red one right here. It'll have really three different aspects we can talk about. So the first one will be the simple aspect. So in English, we tend not to use this very much, but if we were to say something like, I do, or actually, we really don't use this one as distinct from the second one very much. So the second one is continuous aspect. So we're going to use I'm studying, or to study as our example verb. So I am studying now. That would be a continuous aspect. And so Greek would use the sort of simple aspect the same way as we use both of those. And so in Greek, all three of these forms of the verb would be exactly the same. This habitual aspect that we have here is like I study a lot. So like in general, like I study fairly regularly a lot. If we look at the aorist and the imperfect, so the aorist and the imperfect are like the present system here, where they have this simple aspect, continuous, and the habitual. The aorist takes the simple aspect and the imperfect takes the continuous and habitual. So a past action that's simple would be, I studied yesterday. So it happened once, and we're not implying it was happening for a long period of time, or that it happened habitually. Whereas the imperfect would imply just that. I was studying yesterday. It implies that you were in a state of studying continuously for some time, for some period of interest. And I used to study on Thursdays meant that for a while you were habitually studying on Thursdays. So both of those would use the imperfect. The future is a lot like the present in that it's one sort of, it's one verbal form that takes all three of these aspects. We'll see later that the future has a lot in common with the present in other ways too. In ancient Greek, but we have a simple aspect, I will study tomorrow, continuous aspect, I will be studying when you come over, and a habitual aspect, I will study every day when I get to college. So that's sort of habitual. All of those would have the same form in the ancient Greek verb. If you look at the perfective tenses, perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect, these are a little bit different. They're actually, in my opinion, a little bit easier to get the idea of the translation behind. So the perfect is some sort of action started at some point in the past, but is finished by the present. So I have studied today. So as of now, I have studied sometime in the past, right? So you studied earlier in the day, but as of now, you're in the position where you have studied. I had studied, the pluperfect would be in the past, so I had studied by the time of the test. So from the vantage point of the test, which is in the past, you had already studied before that. And then the future perfect is will have, generally is how we would translate it. So when I take the test, I will have studied enough for it. And so we use have generally to translate perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect. So perfect would be I have done X, pluperfect is I had done X, and future perfect is I will have done X. That's the basic trend form. So hopefully this makes it easier. As we go on, we'll be talking about more conjugations and more conjugational categories, but this should make things understandable.